Hi, Wilter Bookstore. My name is Anna Hogeland, and I'm the author of Long Answer, which came out with Riverhead Books last June and will be out in paperback this coming June. So be sure to order it from the Wilter Bookstore. It's a novel about the many different paths that families take toward becoming parents and motherhood specifically. And it's also about relationships between female friends, sisters, mother, daughter, family dynamics at large. It follows a character named Anna over the course of her first pregnancy as she gathers stories from other women who have navigated this phase of life before her. When I was pregnant with my first pregnancy, I was so desperate to hear stories from other women. I felt completely at sea about how anyone had survived this phase of life. And I began writing the stories that I really wanted to hear myself. Yes, absolutely. The main character is named Anna, who unsurprisingly has a lot in common with myself, at least in terms of the course of her first pregnancy is very much like the course of mine, which ended in a loss, a late term termination after learning about a severe congenital heart defect. I, especially after the loss, really wanted to hear how people had moved through grief and things not going the way they expected they would go in regards to pregnancy loss, but also more generally just how when you imagine your life going a certain way and it takes a sharp turn, which most of our lives do at some point, how they manage to move through that and continue on with a new shape of life. These are issues that touch everyone, every family. When you're going through something like this, it can feel very isolating, and a lot of people feel shame around losses of any kind or difficulty getting pregnant or keeping a pregnancy. The more we share our stories, the more we hear these stories, the more we can feel held and less alone and believe that there is a future beyond them. My writing process is not a process at all. It is just whenever I can get a minute, whenever I'm not too tired or too distracted, which is hardly ever. I have a little one now, she's almost 3, and I'd like to say that since then, since she was born, it's been extra chaotic and distracted, but I have never been somebody who could sit for long periods of time and write. I'm really into a project. I can write anytime, anywhere, doesn't matter. If I'm having a hard time writing, the conditions can be perfect and something still won't come. Early in pandemic, which was also when I was in my third trimester with my daughter, I only wanted to reread books. I reread the Elena Ferrante quartet. I read a lot of Alice Munro. And then after I gave birth and a little later in the pandemic, some books that I really loved were Mother in the Dark by Kayla Maori, Motherhood, Facing and Finding Yourself by Lisa Marciano. That's a nonfiction book, which I believe is really, really helpful for a lot of new moms. Valentine by Elizabeth Whitmore. I could go on and on and on, but those are just a few that stand out. I really want people to know that if these issues of mother becoming and loss don't feel like very relevant to you and your experience, I want people to know that there is still something they can find in this book. Because to me, it really is about family, friendship, sibling dynamics, resilience, life taking lots of turns and moving past it, that I hope that a lot of people would be able to connect with, even if the particular theme around pregnancy and pregnancy loss doesn't feel very relevant to them. And read the first 2 pages just to keep it simple. My older sister, Margot, called me and said, "You don't need to say anything, but I wanted to let you know I had a miscarriage. Just an early one," she added quickly. "I'm fine now." I was more surprised than saddened. I didn't know she was pregnant or that she'd been trying to get pregnant. "The worst of it is over," she said. "I'm relieved that I lost it when I did, before I was any further along. I only thought I was pregnant for a week." So as far as miscarriages go, this was about as easy as they get. She and Nick had quickly conceived their son, Alex, now just over a year old, and there was no reason to believe they wouldn't conceive quickly again. It was unlikely that a miscarriage would happen a second time, even though the odds were higher now than they were before. And she knew she was fertile and her body could carry a healthy pregnancy to term. They just had to wait for one cycle to try to conceive again. There wasn't anything more to say, she said. She'd just rather I hear it from her than from her mother. And she wanted to make sure that I would still feel comfortable to talk to her about my pregnancy. I was 9 weeks when she called. She'd been hesitant to tell me any of this for fear I would shield her from it, which was exactly what she didn't want. "Truly," she said, "I only feel happiness for you. Please know that. How are you feeling anyway? Any better at all?" I wasn't sure if I should call her after that, if the miscarriage was something she wanted to talk more about, despite saying she did not. I was surprised she told me at all. We'd never been the kind of sisters who tell each other our most vulnerable secrets, and since this dynamic had always felt more like her choice than mine, I tried to honor it. In the days following, I sent her text saying, "How are you feeling? Please let me know if there's anything I can do." And Isaac and I bought her a $50 gift certificate to Moose's Tooth Pizzeria. Her responses were curt. "Doing okay today, thanks," or "You're sweet, but I'm fine." Soon, she only replied with an emoji of a flower bouquet or a yellow heart. When my last text, "Just letting you know I'm thinking of you," went unanswered, I decided to let her be the one to initiate contact next, whenever that would be. Thank you so much for watching this video, and go support Boulder Bookstore. The paperback will be out in June.